I never thought I'd be the guy to get blindsided like this. But here I am, staring at a pile of hotel receipts and feeling like my world just collapsed. My wife Lisa and I had been together for 8 years. We met in college, hit it off right away, and for the most part things seemed solid. Sure, we had our disagreements, nothing unusual, but I always thought we had a good thing going. I mean, we moved into a nice apartment, had a good social life, and I really believed she was the one. But over the last few months, I started noticing strange little things. She was more distant, often distracted, and there were nights she'd say she was working late or going out with friends, but her stories started to sound inconsistent. She'd come home late, and when I'd ask questions, she'd brush it off with a bitchy attitude, telling me I was overreacting or that I was paranoid. Honestly, I began to suspect something wasn't right, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I kept telling myself maybe it was stress from work or her having a rough time. Then, a week ago, I decided to go through our shared bank statements for no particular reason. Just a gut feeling, I guess. I saw a charge from a hotel downtown, nothing unusual by itself, but when I looked closer, I recognized the name of a close friend of ours, Mark. I thought that was weird because Mark had said he was on a business trip all weekend. I double-checked the dates, and it was the same weekend Lisa had said she was at her sister, in another state. That's when my stomach sank. I felt uneasy, so I decided to dig a little deeper. That's when I found the real shocker. I had a second look at the receipts. The hotel, the dates, the time stamps, they all pointed to something much more than just a friendly visit or a work trip. It was clear she'd spent the weekend with Mark and they had booked a room together. I found the hotel confirmation email, the receipt for the room, and even an extra invoice for some special services that I won't repeat here. It tore me up inside. She lied to me for months, convincing me she was just closely assigned with Mark like that made it okay. I mean, how stupid do they think I am? I didn't want to jump to conclusions without proof, but it was right there in front of me. I kept asking myself, how could she lie so effortlessly? How long has this been going on? And why? She's always been bitchy, yes, but I never thought she'd cheat on me with my best friend. The betrayal hits hard. I trusted her with everything, and now I'm not even sure who she really is. I feel sick, angry, and just numb all at once. I don't even know what to do next, but I know this isn't going to sit well. I need to confront her, but I also need to figure out what I'm going to do about it. So, I waited a few days to calm down before talking to Lisa. Honestly, I was a mess. Anger, heartbreak, confusion all swirling inside me. I kept going over everything I knew, trying to piece together how she'd been able to lie so convincingly about something so obvious. Every time I thought about the hotel receipts, my stomach clenched. I couldn't believe I'd missed the signs for so long, or maybe I just refused to see the truth. When I finally confronted her, I knew I had to do it face to face. I didn't want some heated text or email. I wanted to see her face, hear her lie if she was going to, or maybe, just maybe, she'd finally come clean. I told her I found something that doesn't add up and I needed her to explain. Her reaction was immediate, and honestly, it only made things worse. She snapped at me, rolling her eyes, giving me that typical bitchy attitude she's mastered over the years. "Oh, give me a break, Matt," she said. "You're overreacting. It's not what you think." I was stunned. I told her I saw the receipts, that I knew about her and Mark spending the weekend together in that hotel. Her eyes flickered for a second, then she huffed and crossed her arms. "It was just some stupid assignment," she said. "Mark and I had to go over some project stuff for work. It's not a big deal. You're making it into something it's not." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She lied so smoothly, like she was used to covering her tracks. Asked her why she didn't tell me, why she lied about the whole thing. She scoffed and said, "I didn't think it'd matter. We're just friends, Matt. It's not like I cheated on you with some random guy. Mark, been my friend for years. You're overreacting as usual." I felt my blood boiling. The words "just friends" kept ringing in my ears, but I knew better. It wasn't just about the hotel or the lie. It was the way she dismissed it, like it was no big deal. That's when I started to realize this wasn't just about a fling or some stupid mistake. It was about trust, or rather the complete lack of it. I asked her how long this had been going on, and she shrugged, acting like I was just some jealous idiot. "Since when do you care? You're never around, always working late," she said with that bitchy smirk. Maybe if you paid more attention, you'd see I've got needs too. That comment hit me hard. Like I was some kind of idiot for not noticing that she was basically cheating on me right under my nose. I couldn't even speak for a minute. My mind was racing, trying to process everything. I felt betrayed on every level. I had always been loyal, always tried to be a good husband. And now I find out she's been lying for months, sleeping with my best friend, and then she has the nerve to blame me for not paying enough attention. I looked at her, and all I saw was this cold, bitchy woman who thought she could get away with anything. I wanted to scream, to break something, but I was frozen. I knew I had to decide what I was going to do next. Do I just walk away, confront Mark too, or do I try to fix this mess? I knew one thing: I couldn't trust her anymore. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved, had betrayed me in the worst way possible, and I didn't know if I could ever forgive her or if I even wanted to. After that confrontation, I felt like my world was turned upside down. For days, I just sat there staring at the walls, replaying everything I'd learned, trying to make sense of it all. My mind kept circling back to Mark, my best friend, the guy I'd trusted with everything. How could he do this to me? The thought of him lying in bed with Lisa, sharing those secret weekends while I was clueless, God, it made me sick. I'd known Mark since college. We'd been through everything together, and now I found out he'd been sleeping with my wife behind my back. That's a betrayal I don't think I can ever get past. The worst part was feeling so betrayed by both of them, but also feeling like I had no one to turn to. I didn't want to tell my friends. How do you even explain something like this? Hey guys, I just found out my wife cheated on me with my best friend. Yeah, that's a conversation I'd rather not have. So I kept it all inside, trying to come up with a plan, trying to figure out what my next move should be. One night, I started scrolling through her phone, something I never thought I'd do, but at that point, I was desperate. I didn't trust her anymore, and I needed to see if there was more evidence, more lies. It was a gut decision, and honestly, I didn't feel proud of it, but I needed to know everything. That's when I found the texts. They weren't just innocent work messages like she'd claimed. They were flirty, suggestive, and full of that sexual tension you can't fake. She was definitely more than just closely assigned with Mark. They'd been exchanging explicit messages, talking about their sex, their weekends together, planning the next time they'd see each other. That was the moment I knew I couldn't just sweep this under the rug. This was real, and it was worse than I thought. It wasn't just a one-time thing. It had been happening for months, probably longer. My stomach sank. I felt like I was suffocating. I couldn't believe I'd been living with a woman who lied so effortlessly, who had been sleeping with my best friend and then pretending everything was normal. I felt this surge of rage and sadness all at once. It was like I'd been punched in the gut and I didn't know how to breathe. The next day, I decided I needed to confront her again, but this time with all the evidence on hand. I wanted her to see I wasn't going to be played for a fool anymore. I was tired of the lies, tired of feeling like I was living someone else's life. I sat her down, laid everything out, the hotel receipts, the messages, the proof of her betrayal. Her reaction was classic Lisa. She started yelling, calling me crazy, saying I was just paranoid and jealous. She told me I was being oversensitive, that I was making up stories, and that I needed to get my head examined. But I wasn't about to fall for her manipulative crap anymore. I looked her dead in the eyes and told her I knew everything and I wanted her to be honest for once. That's when she snapped. She started crying, acting like I'd just destroyed her life, like I was the villain. She kept saying she was sorry, that it was just a mistake, that Mark was just a bad influence, and that she never meant for any of this to happen. That lying bitch. At that moment, I knew I couldn't trust her anymore, not as my wife, not as the woman I loved. I felt a deep ache in my chest, a kind of heartbreak that's hard to describe. I'd always believed in honesty, in loyalty, in the idea that marriage was about trust. And now, it was all gone. I didn't know whether to cry, scream, or just walk away. But one thing was clear: my life was about to change forever. After that night, I felt like I was living in some kind of nightmare. I kept thinking about everything: her lies, the hotel, Mark, the messages, and I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to demand answers, but another part just wanted to crawl into a hole and disappear. I didn't sleep much those nights. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, that bitchy smirk she always has when she's lying, and I heard Mark's stupid voice telling her how hot she looked. I knew I had to make some decisions. Staying quiet wasn't an option anymore, not after I had all the proof. But what could I do? I was torn between confronting her again, walking out, or even doing something more revengeful. I kept thinking about her lying to me for months, about her sneaking around with Mark behind my back. I'd been blind, but now I saw everything clearly. She had shattered my trust into a million pieces, and I didn't know how to put it back together, or if I should even try. One day, I decided to go through her things, looking for more evidence or anything that could give me clarity. It was a little invasive, I know, but at that point I was desperate. I found her phone hidden in her drawer, and I couldn't resist checking it again. I needed to see if she'd slipped up somewhere else, if she'd been stupid enough to leave more clues. And she had. There were more texts, more photos, and even some sex between her and Mark that she had deleted but were still recoverable. Every new piece of evidence just confirmed what I already knew. She had been lying, cheating, and hiding things from me for months. That's when I decided I had enough. I pulled her aside, told her I found everything, and told her I was done. I told her I didn't want to hear any more lies, not from her, not from Mark. I told her she had broken something inside me that I wasn't sure could ever be fixed. Her face twisted with rage and guilt, and she tried to throw the blame back on me, saying I was a bad husband, that I wasn't paying enough attention, that I was controlling. Of course she played the victim, crying and saying she was sorry but that she loved me. Yeah, right. The thing is, I could see through her bullshit now. I wasn't going to be manipulated anymore. I told her I wanted her to leave, that I needed space to think. She threw a fit, yelled, called me names, but I didn't care. I was done pretending everything was okay. I told her I'd be speaking to a lawyer, that I wanted divorce papers, and that I wanted her out of my life. That was a hard thing to say. It felt like I was ripping my own heart out, but I knew it was the only way to move forward. That whole day, I felt like I was walking in a fog. I was angry, hurt, and somehow relieved at the same time. I finally saw her for what she was, an unfaithful, manipulative bitch who thought she could get away with anything. The trust I'd built over years was gone, and I knew I'd never look at her the same way again. The pain was real, but so was my sense of clarity. I realized that I deserved better than someone who lied, cheated, and made a fool out of me. Whatever happened next, I knew I wasn't going to let her ruin me completely. I'd rebuild my life, even if it meant starting over from scratch. The days that followed were a blur of lawyers, packing, and trying to get my head straight. I never imagined I'd be in this position, but honestly it was like a switch flipped inside me. I realized I couldn't keep living in the wreckage of her lies. I contacted a lawyer, told him everything, and began the process of divorce. I knew it was the right move. I couldn't see any way to salvage what was broken beyond repair. Every time I thought about her with Mark, I felt this deep, burning anger. But at the same time, I also felt a strange sense of relief. I was finally taking control back. I moved out of the apartment that weekend. It was brutal packing up everything. I saw all the little things we shared, the photos, the gifts, the memories that now felt like nothing but dust and lies. I kept a few things for myself, things that reminded me of who I was before her betrayal. I didn't want to forget, but I also didn't want to be haunted by it. As I cleared my space, I realized how much I'd let her walk all over me for so long, and that made me sick. No more. What's been hardest to accept is the way I trusted her. I mean, I really believed she loved me, and now I see she was just pretending all along. It's a blow to the ego for sure. I kept asking myself, how could I have missed it? How could I have been so blind? But deep down, I know I wasn't blind. I was in love, and love makes you ignore the warning signs sometimes. Now, I'm just trying to pick up the pieces and rebuild my confidence. One thing I've learned is that betrayal doesn't just hurt, it changes you. It makes you question everything, your judgment, your worth, your ability to trust anyone again. But I also know I can't let her betrayal define me. I have to move forward, even if that means starting over alone. I've been reaching out to friends, trying to find some semblance of normalcy. It's not easy and it's not quick, but I know I'll get through this. I'm already starting to see a different version of myself, the one that's stronger, smarter, and more cautious about who I let into my life. And honestly, I'm not sure I'll ever forgive her or Mark. Maybe I will someday, maybe I won't. Right now, I just want to focus on healing. I've learned that betrayal cuts deep, but it also teaches you what you're really made of. I don't regret the love I gave her, but I do regret trusting her so blindly. The biggest lesson: never take loyalty for granted. People will show you who they really are sooner or later, and when they do, you better be ready to walk away. Now, sitting here reflecting on everything, I realize how much this whole experience has changed me. It's not just about the betrayal itself, but about how I let it reshape my view on trust and relationships. I used to think love was enough, thought if someone loved you, that was all that mattered. Turns out, loyalty and honesty are just as vital, maybe more so. Losing that sense of security has been brutal, but I've also learned to stand on my own 2 feet again. I've come to see that I don't need someone who lies and cheats to be happy. I've started focusing on myself. The things I enjoy, my career, my friends who have been my anchors through this mess. I've realized that I was putting her first for too long, ignoring the red flags because I didn't want to see the truth. Now I know better. I won't let anyone make me doubt my worth again. I've got scars, sure, but I also have a clearer sense of what I want out of life and who I want in it. Looking back, I wish I could say I feel nothing but relief, but honestly, there's still some pain. It's a dull ache that lingers, but it's also a reminder of how far I've come. I've learned that sometimes the only way to save yourself is to walk away from what's toxic, no matter how much you love someone. It hurts, but it's necessary. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, I'll say this: trust your gut. If something feels off, don't ignore it. And if you find yourself in the same place I was, blindsided, betrayed, broken, know that it's okay to feel everything at once. But don't stay stuck. Get out, heal, and rebuild. Because in the end, you're the only one responsible for your happiness. And nobody, no matter how much they hurt you, is worth sacrificing your peace of mind. I'm not proud of how everything happened, but I am proud of how I'm choosing to move forward. It's not the ending I imagined, but it's the beginning of something better. I'll find my way again. I have to.